Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and it is 3:02. And this is a special meeting agenda of the Jefferson Public Utility District Board of Commissioners. My name is Jeff Randall. I'm calling this meeting to order, and I'm president of the board. Jefferson PUD will be offering both virtual online meetings as well as in-person meetings unless advance notice is provided. Online participant audio will be muted upon entry. Please unmute at the appropriate time to speak. And if you're calling in, use *6 to mute and unmute and *9 to raise a hand to request to speak. So let's do a roll call of commissioners. I'm Jeff Randall, Commissioner for District 1 and President of the Board.
Kenneth Collins, Commissioner District 2.
Dan Tupper, Commissioner for District 3.
Okay, we have, this is the special meeting before our regular meeting at 4 o'clock, and we have an agenda of a couple of items. And do we have any changes to that agenda? Okay, seeing none.
Make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, so the first item on our agenda is the AMI opt-out fee discussion. So who's going to lead us on this one?
I'll start real quick, and really, I'm just going to thank Sergey and Paul, FCS, as they're continuing to work through our rates. This is one of the rates they've been helping us with, so our appreciation goes out to their group, Sergey, for helping us as staff. This is interesting discussion today on opt-out rates. So, Sergey, do you want to start and then we'll jump into questions?
Sounds great. Thank you, Kevin. And I'm going to share my screen now. Can everybody see it okay?
I don't think it works. Okay.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, it's working. I think I can see the background. Well, good afternoon, commissioners. And again, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today to continue our discussion regarding various fees and charges related to the electric system. And as Kevin mentioned today, we're going to be focusing with and presenting a brief kind of outline presentation for our calculation of the opt-out meter rates.
Hey,
Now,
yeah. You want to take questions as you go, or do you want to hold them till the end?
Feel free to, as always, feel free to give questions as they come. I think we can address them when they're fresh.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So just as a quick background, recently, as everybody's aware, the PUD has moved away from analog style meters and converted pretty much and has been transitioning all their meters to advanced metering infrastructure or digital AMI meters, which perform reads remotely and provide information virtually to the customer service and billing department. Now, as we've experienced with other utilities, some customers on the system prefer not to utilize these types of meters that send these virtual signals, and they would like the ability to opt out of having that type of meter and convert back or avoid converting to AMI type meters. So we're referring to these type of customers as opt-out customers. Now, from a cost perspective, because we have been moving to and converting to pretty much full implementation deployment of smart meters, these type of meters don't require drive-by meters or manual reads of historical analog style meters. So there's a lot of differences in what it costs us to have specific staff on hand to be able to provide service to the few of these opt-out customers. So with that background in mind, we wanted to calculate what it's actually costing the PD, the district, to provide this additional incremental opt-out service to be able to utilize historical analog style meters, because currently without an opt-out rate, there are costs that are being paid for by customers that are not opting out. So there's customers, there are direct costs that are associated with performing these manual reads, and those costs are being shared by everybody.
Sergey?
Yep.
Tupper, a couple quick questions for staff for background. Have we completed the AMI build out? That's the first question.
We have completed the build out. We're fine tuning a lot of our collectors and gateways right now, repositioning some antennas. So we're fine tuning, trying to get that 99% the accuracy that we're hoping.
As far as meter deployment?
Yeah, meter deployment. there may be a scattered few out there, but it would be,
Second question, a customer service related, more than likely, and that is, as the number of those accounts static, or are we still taking on or losing any opt-out customers?
I'm gonna, if I can, defer to Jennifer. She's in the know there that I don't know.
We continue to see it go up, not significantly, but the number of opt-out customers that we have compared to other PUDs is significantly higher.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background before we get going.
So I guess just a clarification that when you say it's going up, are we getting like 1 or 2 a year or what, how would you characterize it? 1 a month? Okay. And then I guess overall, just as comparison, how many new services are we getting a year or a month? Just new residential customers?
So on the Form 7, between 200 and 300, maybe a few more.
A year, so we're getting, I can't do the math that fast.
I couldn't either. I just,
So it's,
There's a few communities being built. So.
And the Form 7 is our US reporting.
correct.
so we're getting 20 to 30 new customers a month, roughly. And of,
We figure about 1% in our growth rate.
yeah,
We're getting 20 of them and there's one, that's 5%.
yeah,
It's not usually new customers.
Okay.
It's existing customers.
usually existing customers swapping out. Okay.
Hey, Sergey?
Yep. Is that okay? No more questions here for now. All right. So, in order for us to be able to identify what it actually is costing us above and beyond what it's costing us to do our current meter reading practices, we took a look at what are some of the incremental expenses included in providing this opt-out service. Number one is meter reading staff time. So again, historically with analog meters, you had staff either go out to the meter itself, physically drive up, go to the meter, take a read, or drive by a meter and record the readings with a drive-by method. Now that labor is no longer necessary for the AMI type of a meter, as it gets transmitted wirelessly into our systems. So in order for us to be able to even read these type of meters, we need to have allocated positions or portions of positions that go out directly to the site or drive by these customers and pick up the information. Now, because of the integration of the billing system, MDMA system, management system, the AMI meters feed directly into our customer billing software versus the new style or the analog style of meter processing requires additional staff time to input it into the system more manually, which is again additional incremental billing staff time. We're currently approximating about 8 hours per week that has to be spent allocated to this type of a task for billing purposes, which is not done at all for any other customers. There are vehicle costs that are being diverted to your staff to drive out to the locations to be able to read those meters, which could be used for other purposes. And then lastly, administrative and general kind of overhead expenses related to your managers, general manager, legal, and so on, just like costs that are associated with anybody else. Whenever we develop any kinds of charges, you're going to have administrative and general costs that are spread proportionally to all rate levels. And just like in those rate calculations, these costs include overhead type of expenses as well. Lastly, because you do pay taxes on any revenue collected except for pass-through wholesale type charges, you will be also paying taxes to the state related to utility state excise taxes, as well as PUDs pay a privilege tax, approximately combined of 6.1% or so. So you need to account for the tax paid onto these fees as well.
Could you elaborate on that, Sergey? What do you mean by that exactly?
which part?
Which part?
About how the tax is calculated, whether it's a mechanical meter versus an AMI meter. I don't quite understand how the tax would be any different. They're still using the same amount of energy theoretically.
It would not be different. It's exactly the same. The only I was just indicating that the only revenue source that you typically would not be taxed on is a wholesale type revenue, a pass-through charge, a wheeling charge, so to speak. But for any type of retail revenue, like an analog, AMI, any kind of class revenue, as long as you report it as a revenue from sales of from sales to your customers, it will be taxed by the Department of Revenue.
You're basically saying because we, whatever we choose to charge them, whether it's $5 or $28, we are required to collect a 6% utility tax on that.
You should, because if you don't, your other customers would be paying the tax for them.
That going to be on the bill anyway? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like we're putting a tax on them, then we're taxing the tax because
And theoretically, that is how it works. So whenever we're developing the revenue requirements, we have to account for the fact, and it is an issue that we have several in-house tax experts that try to argue with the Department of Revenue, but they do tax the tax. So you can also refer to it as tax on tax sometimes. So you have to make sure when you're setting rates, you're appropriately setting a rate to not only collect the percentage tax, but also the tax that would be paid on the tax collected. It's kind of a circular loop if you think about it, but it is how it is viewed by the Department of Revenue.
Yeah, again, that one is a little confusing to me if that's actually a charge that is not already covered somewhere else in the billing for that customer, either through a base rate or whatever.
So the current amount is covered. We're talking about the incremental charge. So anything new you would assess would generate new revenue, and that new revenue would need to pay new taxes. So just from simplicity purposes, I'm just going to round. Let's say you have a $50 charge, basic charge. Again, using examples numbers only, that $50 charge already includes its own tax. Anything new that we would add to it would pay additional tax on top of it. So if we had a $10 charge on top of that, that extra $10, we need to recover tax on that $10. So we just go ahead.
On and
Yeah.
we can come back to
Yeah, and I had one other question in this since we're section, and that is for your purposes. And I appreciate the granularity and the depth of information that you guys are supplying with FCS. Sergey and your team, thank you for that, and staff as well. I appreciate this is the kind of thing I like to see during budget time that I don't think we quite get into this level of granularity. So having said all that, my question is the policy we currently have for the opt-out, basically we are waiving the fee for low income. Now, are we going to continue to waive that fee if we increase these rates to the projected rate? That doesn't seem fair either. So did you calculate any low income into these numbers that you did that we won't be charging low income $28 a month?
So this is a standalone analysis because you don't have an opt-out rate because you're just now converting to the AMI meter infrastructure. What we wanted to do for today's exercise, just calculate what the cost-based rate would be. And then based on our discussion regarding policy and everything else, the next step would be to identify some of these other ancillary impacts that can occur, such as if a low-income customer opts out, what does that mean? Do they have an increased adjustment, or do they still get the same rate and they just have to pay the incremental opt-out rate? So they still get the same discount on the base fee, and the opt-out rate is just its own standalone fee for choosing to have an analog meter instead of a digital AMI type meter.
All right, so thank you. Yeah, these last 2 bullets seem to be moving targets and will continue to be moving targets depending on what rates we decide to charge. Thank you.
Okay. So in terms of the cost determination for this time, for this analysis, we didn't want to look at a prospective structure as we typically do for setting rates into the future, because we just wanted to see what it actually has been costing you to provide this service. So we took the 2024 actual financial information that your staff had available. Your staff has been tracking direct costs that are related to the actual meters. So they had been tracking the handheld meter time and manual read time independently, which was very helpful for this analysis. We were able to also layer on the customer service time with our discussions regarding the assumption of about 8 hours per week for processing these bills and administrating these bills and providing customer service for these bills. Using our rate setting methodology, we allocated the administrative and general and overhead expenses to these charges. So again, just like we do with any other rate setting, you have administrative and general service costs. Most of them, not all of them, were allocated proportionally to these fees. We did take a look at any cost offsets because your rates do include a capital cost component in them, which is associated with meter replacements over time because we need to make sure that we set our rates that collect enough money to eventually maintain and replace the meters. We took a look at the cost differential to replace an AMI meter versus an analog meter. And based on our estimates, it looked like the current analog meters are cheaper than AMI meters. So we estimated and calculated a reduction to the opt-out rate of about $3. Now, one caveat here is that the currently analog meters are cheaper to replace than AMI meters, but as more and more utilities transition to AMI meters, there may be a time where analog meters become pretty much obsolete, and procuring them may be a challenge, so they may become more expensive. But right now, as the information that we have it is cheaper from just a replacement perspective to install an old style analog meter. So the charge calculation does include a credit for the reduced cost of the capital over the duration of the time of the meter itself. And then lastly, we apply the taxes, which are just proportional, about 6% on the net number. Go ahead.
I thought you were just about done there. So I'm gonna ask you a quick question. You used the word percentage. So the calculation that you used on these numbers that you're gonna give us here, what percentage rate did you use? Because the opt-out meters are roughly, it's less than 3% of our residential customer base. So are you using 3% as the number that you're basing these charges on because it's 500 customers, or what percentage did you use?
So in terms of, what do you mean by percentage? If you're talking about percentage of total
Alloc-
cost,
The allocation off of each potential, whether it's the fleet or administrative.
so out of your total operating and maintenance expenses, the direct costs related to opt-out meters, which includes, again, meter reading, customer service, vehicles, before administrative and general, is about 1.47% of your total historical administrative and or operating and maintenance costs. Once we layer on administrative and general, the percentage gets down to about 1.3% of your total operating and maintenance expenses. So approximately 1.35% of your costs are related to opt-out meters. And we divide that cost by about 500 meters to get to the fees that you see down below.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. So taking the information from above, we have, is there another question?
No, keep going.
Oh, sorry about that. We have the meter reading, direct kind of tracking information for handheld and drive-by meters is about $16.37 out of the total fee. The customer service is another $4.32. The overhead component is about almost $9 at $8.91. We provide a credit for this different type of a meter, and the tax of 6% is applied on the net number of $26.60 for a total charge calculated basically cost-based rate of $28.30. Again, that's the calculated rate. That is not necessarily what the discussion will be with the board. This is simply the calculated rate. Now, the tax component is strictly tied to the number before it. So if the charge is less, the taxes paid will be less as well. That could be determined by policy as well. So the last slide before kind of wrapping the presentation up, just wanted to provide you with a quick survey of what other utilities are doing on the neighboring side. We have several utilities that are a little bit of an outlier. If we look at Snohomish, they actually have two different rates available that they publish themselves. The first rate is the lowest at $5. They have an option for customers to provide the PUD with their own reads. So I guess the customer, again, I haven't talked to the folks at Snohomish PD, but the way I interpret the option is that the customer would self-report their usage to the PUD. I don't know what level of validation they would do, maybe once a year. I'm not aware of that. Their second option is that the PUD will do the read, and it's $25. The rate for PSC is strictly tied to their fixed monthly charge. So again, it didn't appear like it was a separate fee, it was just tied to their fixed monthly charge. And then the four utilities that you can see are exactly $25. I've seen that rate used for many utilities at $25. There's a few that were at $35, but they were not nearby us. Some of them were out of state. So the most common rate that I've seen doing these surveys is around $25. The one area where there are some differences is that several utilities do assess a separate one-time fee. As you can see in the notes below, anywhere from $75 to $124. I'm assuming this is associated with the actual one-time change out cost of a meter, or maybe staff time needed to go out on site and actually replace the meter. These are just my guesses at this time without having talked to these utilities. But there are two approaches. Some you utilize a one-time fee to do the conversion and then an ongoing incremental charge versus others just charge the ongoing monthly incremental charge.
Kevin, what was the charge for changing out to a electromechanical meter?
I'll have to look because we put the policy in the packet, so give me a second and we can find.
I think it was gratis initially. I know that the net metering customers are required to get a specific meter. It's like $75 for the net metering, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a grace, but if we had to go out a second time, there was some
Right.
fees, but
That was my
give us
understanding.
just 1 second. Mike's looking in.
So
Okay.
Sergey, while they're looking, maybe I'll ask you a question then. And you kind of already answered it. You know, on the $25 one, have you ever done any of this kind of rate study for those particular utilities or any other utility that may not be listed? I mean, is this a subjective number, or do you think it's based on actual real cost? Do you have any feel for that?
I can't really say we haven't done these fees for any of these utilities or similar utilities because a lot of utilities are just now converting to the AMI meters. Not many PUDs have had smart meters to opt out of. This is a little bit of a newer trend in our area. It's not new trend in the other parts of the country, but here a little bit newer trend. From what I'm surveying, it is a little interesting to see that it's exactly $25 exactly for everybody on that upper band. So I would guess that it's kind of a barometer policy call to be about $25 what others are doing. But as you can see, our numbers are coming in pretty close, and every year is going to be a little up and down depending on work orders. So I can see how somebody might have calculated something close and just rounded to $25. That's again just a conjecture on my end.
Okay, and then Sergey, the acronyms PSE is Puget Sound Energy, PGE is Pacific Gas and Electric, and that's the one in Oregon, isn't it? Portland Gas and Electric, thank you.
Yeah.
TP is power.
Tacoma Power.
TPU. Tacoma Public Utilities, SPU. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a question or comment, Joe?
I just wanted to offer a partial answer to Commissioner Tupper's question. I happen to be familiar with the TPU rate, like because I worked there Friday, and yeah, and I had a hand in developing it, frankly. So the rate was supposed to be a placeholder rate based on an assumed. There was a number of assumptions that were just nominated before the AMI deployment was completed. The intent is to reassess now that there's a known number of opt-outs, and it's about 1% in Tacoma, and reassess the cost of service. So this was a presumed cost of service and needs to be refreshed. We know that it's under collecting currently.
Okay, thank you.
And opt-out wasn't available on water; it was only available on power.
And since you're talking about Tacoma, have they gone all to AMI, or are they still in process of that conversion?
They are fully deployed on AMI.
Okay.
As of June this year.
Okay. Sergey, are you done, or did you have more to cover?
That's it. Yep. The big that's pretty short and sweet, hopefully. And the next steps are really just input and discussion as we have been having.
Okay. Other commissioner questions?
Not at this point. Is staff going to explain the following information from our own?
One quick minute, Mike.
So looking at our policy, there's a couple different things that we charge one-time fees for. And that is if they have if they're net metering customers and they require a non-digital meter, there is a $75 one-time fee. And if a customer moves into a house that's opt-out and they want the meter replaced at the new house, there is a $60 fee that we do charge.
To go from opt-out to AMI?
Go from AMI to an opt-out.
AMI to opt-out, okay, which is kind of what Jennifer was talking about. Okay. All right.
Those are the only two one-time fees that we have.
And Joe?
One other comment on the electromechanical. TPU, that was not an offered option, that we did not forecast that was going to be a a product offering that we could sustain. So the determination was to use the same meter and turn off the radio. So all
Mhm.
customers had the same radio, and it just it was verifiable to the customer because it was a screen rotation that showed that it was a non-communicating meter. Even in situations where during the deployment there was a digital meter there, that might have stayed for a while, but the plan was to go back and replace it with this so that the all the inventory would be unified. It would just be behaving differently, whether it was opted in or out.
Sure. Okay.
So is this a first touch, or are we supposed to take any action?
Well, this is a first touch, but we also are looking for a little feedback from the commissioners.
Okay.
With all these rates, the commissioners do have some options to maybe go to the full rate first year. The rate may look too high. So we're looking for feedback so we can come back with another proposal with best options that would work for the commissioner.
Okay.
So I like to move rates incrementally. And if we raised it $6.66 for 3 successive years, we're up to $25.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with an incremental approach. I do want to talk about the math a little bit on the
Yeah.
calculations, how we got to the 28.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. So I'm going to just dive into some of the numbers. So I'm looking at the little tiny, so it's the page after Sergey's presentation. It's the little tiny thing, which I've expanded on my screen so I can read it. And it's kind of showing how many handheld reads and manual reads and all that stuff. I don't know if you can go to that and expand it.
Sergey, this your Excel spreadsheet that you guys sent out?
Oh, I can share that 1 second.
Well, I've
Go to the Excel.
in the packet, it's what page am I? Page 7 of 78 of the packet.
Is this Kevin what you're referring to?
No, that's not where I'm at.
No. Okay.
Electric cost of service opt-out meter rate
Yes.
on my page
11.
10.
Okay, mine says it's 7, so I don't know. Anyway, there's some numbers in there like handheld reads, manual reads. So my first question is, you're talking about we're still fine tuning the AMI system. Are we still going out and doing any handheld or manual reads on anybody who's not an opt-out customer on the electric side?
On occasion we are, but it's becoming rare.
Kind of a one-off
Yeah. it's
sort of
not
thing?
a-
Okay. So when it says there's, I guess, is that a rate? I'm getting confused. Hour. No, it says it's an hour, 291.5 hours of handheld reads and 1,038 hours of manual reads done in last year. That's just for opt-out customers. We calculated and
They
gathered that data with the time cards or whatever.
through the time cards, that's how that data was collected.
Okay. And then looking at estimate of 32 hours a month, I guess I'm curious what is different about when we're assembling the bill for an opt-out customer. What is different for that bill than a regular customer? And how long does that take?
Regular customers, the reads just transmit right in, they're in there, they're ready to go.
Automatic.
Automatic.
The bills are generated from the data we're collecting, so there's no manual anything going
Opt-out
on.
meters, a service order has to be put in for every single opt-out meter to be read.
A service order.
So the biller has to go into the system and submit a request through the meter reader on that service location to go out and collect that information manually, enter it in. And then because these all have the opportunity for human error, we have to review all of those carefully to make sure that they're accurate.
Okay, so every month we're doing that. Every billing cycle we're doing that. So 4 times a month or whatever, broken out with all our customers. So that's interesting. Yeah. And I remember when you look at the Snohomish one, they have this $5 option of self-read. I remember we didn't offer that to folks. We said, nope, we're going to read it. Well, I'm going to jump off the numbers for a second and just kind of go back in time. And how many, and I guess it's a two-part question. I want to go back in time, and Ken will remember what this like, and Kevin will too, when we were trying to go to AMI. And now we're there. Now we're in AMI land. How many utilities would you say, like us, are trying to get to AMI and aren't there? And how many would you say are there, like rough percentages in the state that you're aware of? This is a
In
ballpark.
the PUD, most PUDs are going AMI and a lot are there. I don't know the percentage.
Okay,
So truly everyone is going here.
right. And then it was largely out of savings, and we had these old meters, and we had this old agreement with a company that we couldn't read their meters. Can you talk a little bit about how much we saved when we went to AMI, if you remember?
So when we first started, the manual reads that we were getting from Landis and Gear, and it was a contract we inherited from PSE, we were paying almost $500,000 a year for reads.
Yeah.
It did negotiate down quite a bit, but that negotiating down also meant the PUD had to read a lot of the meters. And so we had two systems running, the Landis and Gear system and drive-by system that the PUD installed. So it was very clunky, caused billing a lot of headaches to go between the two different sources.
Mm-hmm.
And that was as much the driving factor. The PSE technology was older, and all of the Landis and Gear customers that join us, PSE, Clallam, all had left our technology behind and we're going to new technologies. So it became apparent we had to do a change.
Yep. So we had this big cost. It was almost like we were on a sinking island. The island was sinking under us. We had to get off and get to this new meter. And we thought it'd be great. And we kind of got surprised by the people who really didn't want AMI meters. And we had community gatherings, and they were showing videos of houses catching on fire and all sorts of stuff. There was real fear and there was real opposition. And we put it on hold for a while, and then we brought it back. And I can't remember if you brought it back with the proposed opt-out policy, but we answered a lot of their questions, and we were able, once we actually got to AMI and deployed it, we didn't really have problems, because it's like people knew that they could opt out, and they knew that it was going to be this, pretty reasonable fee, this $5 fee. So I guess part of my point is, and it may not make intuitive sense, but I look at this low fee that we're charging, and yeah, we may not be collecting everything on those particular customers, but by satisfying that relatively small group, it allowed everybody else to go to this land where we're saving a hell of a lot of money. And I think at the time there were even reports of lawsuits of utilities that were trying to go to AMI, and they were having customers suing and causing problems. So I felt like we got through that process, outside of the original very painful process of when they let us know they didn't like AMI with no options. Once we had an option developed, we got through it pretty pain-free. And I feel like we're saving a lot of money. So for me, as I look at this, I hear what you're saying. Hey, we need to have these guys pay exactly what they owe us. Da 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 da. They allowed us to go to a land where we're saving a hell of a lot of money. And when we're talking about, boy, this is really a pain, we have to generate these orders. Part of me wonders, well, do we have to do it that way? It sounds like we've kind of got ourselves in this system where, we got to do change orders, or we got to do work orders every month. Isn't there a way that we could make that more automatic than what we're doing?
It's hard to take individual meter reads and put it in the system without some kind of paperwork.
Okay.
So
Can we bring that
have
slide
looked
back
at
up?
this, and it is.
Which slide did you want, Dan?
The whole thing there.
Yeah, so as I recall, and some of the memories are a little bit touchy.
Mm-hmm.
The $5 was an estimate at the time and really a placeholder
Mhm.
that we knew it didn't reflect the actual costs. Now we have a sense of what the actual costs are. Um,
And this was 6 years ago
yeah,
that we set this policy.
yeah. So I think we need to consider the equity issue of having people who are not opting out, subsidizing the people who are. And again, with any kind of dramatic increase percentage-wise in rates, I think it needs to be phased in. But I do think it needs to reflect pretty damn close to the actual cost.
And realizing once we go down this road, and I'm good with this, and my mindset is electric subsidizing broadband, is electric subsidizing net metering. So if we're going to have this discussion on this particular group of customers, we have to open the door that we're going to look at everything moving forward. So having said that, I fully support the AMI program. And there definitely likely needs to be an increase. And I have a mechanical meter. I chose to keep the mechanical meter and pay the fee. It's not for anything other than it's my own personal little test. I've had 2 years now of data to collect. I will be going to an AMI meter. So I'm not going to recuse myself from any decisions we make. So I wanted to put that on the table first and foremost.
So I'm going to ask a little, oh, go ahead, Joe.
Just was able to find the answer to the question you're asking.
Oh, okay.
The Energy Information Administration has the data as of 3 years ago. 72% of the nation has electric meter installations. So there's over 104 million residential meters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to go back to what Jeff asked about, and ask staff or the GMs, GM.
We have one GM.
To the GM.
We have an ex-GM,
GM.
one GM.
So the 6750 meter reader, is that the actual hourly rate for our meter readers? That's lineman scale.
That is the loaded rate,
What loaded benefits and
benefits
everything?
and hourly wage plus benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was else? The vehicle hourly rate, excuse me, hourly rate. Why are we not doing that as a mileage rate like we do for GSA for any other travel? I mean, why are we converting into an hourly rate versus a mileage type of a situation?
For our system, for our accounting, we do all of our vehicle usage on hour basis, not on mile basis. So that's why everything's calculated on an hourly rate. A lot of utilities go to an hourly rate because vehicles get used a lot while they're working, but no miles being driven, but there's a lot of cost used while they're using their vehicles for a job.
So again, I'm pointing out a few of the things there, because for me, this really comes around to the end of the day. This is the equity question and who should be covering which cost. And I'm still not certain of, these customers are all electric customers. They all pay the same base rate. They all pay the same consumption rates. So what's already blended in or built into those rates that we might, and for lack of better verbiage, double taxing them again for something they may already be paying for. I don't know how to segregate or separate that information out. And Sergey's done a really good job, and so has staff, but I don't know that it still has that level of granularity where I can conceptualize, are these numbers as accurate as they should or could be the way that we're converting things? So for me, it really comes down to this, what is the added cost of the meters? We already heard that. That's $3 less to do the meters than it does for the mechanicals over the AMI. And really, what is the cost of running those vehicles? We're going to retain these employees. We're not cutting out this thing and sending our employees somewhere else. The employees are still making what they're making, and they'll have different tasks. So that's the second one to me. And then the other one is the transportation cost. We have fleet. Those vehicles are going to be moving somewhere in the system doing something.
So with regard to the what the utilization of the employee is going to be, the employee hopefully would be doing a task that is generally useful to all of the customers instead of just the task that's specifically serving opt-out customers. So there may or may not be doing meter reading. That could be doing inspections of all the meters, but this is time from the best estimates possible of dedicated time just for the opt-out population, not for the general population of meters. So I think it's a fair way of assessing costs. It is a fair comment that you're making about would the employees still be employed by the PUD, but I think they would be doing tasks and useful work that's useful for all customers.
But that kind of makes my point of the benefits, the per hour charge that we're charging, they're gonna get paid that regardless. So I don't even know why it's kind of part of that equation.
The cost that's associated, the hours is associated to just read
Okay.
opt-out meters. They put it on their time card that they're reading the manual read. Plus with our AMI, we have reduced our metering staff. So, and we haven't laid anybody off. They've moved into, other spaces for the PUD.
Mhm.
Now, we're not gonna reduce it anymore because they also do other duties. But these numbers are based on time cards that our employees fill out in 2024.
And if we didn't have this option, we would avoid that cost completely.
So they're not out read. I know, like don't we have to send our guys out to read the water meters too?
The electric guys don't read the water meters. There's a water meter reader that reads those meters, but they go out, they do all the electric locates, they do the fiber locates. They do have to, if there's meter questions on meters, if there's questions on reads coming in, they go out and check those reads.
So we have people going out in the field for electric work, and while they're doing that, they're gathering
No.
electric reads.
I don't think that's what Mike meant. Correct me if I'm wrong. You just stated that the water people are reading the water meters. None of the water meters are AMI, are they? They all transmit.
AMI.
They have to do that drive-by thing, don't they?
Yeah,
But
but
they drive around and collect the information.
it's a water team member that is driving around collecting the reads off of the water meters.
Yeah.
If it's an electric meter reader that's part of the electric utility, they are only handling the electric utility meters. They are not helping with the water meters. They're only working on the electric side, and then they're out doing the locates for electric. When you call 811 as a home, anytime you're doing anything, they're responsible to go out and do those locates and locate the underground electric lines. They assist with the fiber electric underground locates as well.
Are the water meter readers different employees than the electric meter readers? So there is a segregation, or they are separate
Yes.
pools of labor. Okay.
Trick ones do the cutoffs too.
We can't quite hear you. Could you just,
Disconnects for non-payment as well.
okay.
It's also best practice in the utility industry for a somewhat periodic, maybe every other year, read of your meters. Even if you've gone to AMI, there's inspection of it's the utilities cash register, and to put eyes on it occasionally, even when it is an advanced meter system, is an opportunity. So back to the point of whether this employee could be doing work that's generally useful across the entire utility. I think the point still stands that they're doing work dedicated to a particular function that's the opt-out population. If they weren't, we would find useful work for them to do across the entire population of our electric customers.
So I have a question for Sergey, since he might not be here when if we talk about this again. So Sergey, I think on that one screen, you've got the administration overhead number, and I think it's like $8.91 or something like that. And then I'm looking at your spreadsheet, which then shows where you're getting those numbers from. And you've got handheld meter reads, manual meter reads somewhere. Oh, administration and general expense.
Page 11.
Yeah, so you've got administration and general salaries, office and supplies and expenses. I mean, heck, I think even the commissioners
Yep.
are being,
It had a line
they're being
item for
charged. That's
commissioners.
where I think we're double dipping. And I just cannot imagine that these customers are already paying a base fee. I don't see any justification for applying these charges to this new charge that we're going to charge. It just doesn't seem right.
So I'm not in control of the document right now that we provided. This is this is, here, I'm gonna share my screen, I believe, since I have it available. 1 second, you should be seeing it now. So you're referring to administrative and general section. You're showing you the actual cost spent, and then we're showing the allocated amount proportionally. Basically, this is time spent by other staff that's not direct spent dealing with these issues. Is a good example. The commissioners are spending time right now discussing this topic at hand associated with
Proposing to raise,
proposing, but it's still time spent and it is part of the agenda. It's a very minor time of the agenda, but you are spending time to address this rate, just like we spend time addressing any other rate. So in rate setting world, theoretically speaking, everybody's paying proportionally based on all incremental costs that are driving the direct cost, right?
I think you're double dipping. I'm just going to tell you. I think you're double dipping on that. They're already paying a base rate.
So I guess.
They're already a customer.
Touch is, we would like maybe to tighten up and have staff take, or not Sarah, I think staff could do it at this point, take another look at the metrics and the costs that we're allocating to this. And are they truly, really, is that something we should be including as the amount that we're going to base this against for 500 customers that are already paying base rates and the same consumption rates as everyone
Yeah.
else?
So this fee though, the administration is on the time and energy it takes, and we've tracked the time. So we can reduce those numbers, but I do feel that Sergey has spent a lot of time really getting down in the weeds. And those numbers for this group is accurate, I think.
I
Time we've allocated to it.
I think a reasonable person in this room who wasn't working for the PUD could say, yes, you've documented that you've got time for meter readers and you've documented that our billing people have to do it. Part of me thinks, well, that's kind of our own system though. You know, we've designed this system this way. We're choosing not to have the water meter people who are already out in the field do it. We're increasing their costs because it's how we want to do it. And these people really had serious problems with AMI, whether a reasonable person would say that's completely rational or not. They chose that, they had that fear, and they allowed us to save a hell of a lot of money. So when we look at, gee whiz, it's costing us this, we have lots of situations where we're not charging people what it costs us. The people in the coil cost a lot more to serve with electricity than the people in Port Townsend, just because of the low population density. So for me, I'm looking at our whole meter reading system, and they're not paying $5. They're paying $5 plus 28, whatever our base rate is. So they're paying $33 a month. So I'm not comfortable with this right now. And at least the $891 for administration and general overhead, I see it looks like double dipping to me, at least that one. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, I'm somewhat in agreement with Commissioner Randall. I mean, I don't know that, again, I appreciate everything Sergey's done, and I know how he's explained how he's gone about it. Staff's gone about it. Taking any more deep dives to look at whether we're accounting things properly or not. Sounds like staff is confident that they're not going to find any differences. So I guess ultimately it come to us is what we're going to be comfortable with.
Right.
And so again, I'm going to bring it back to the policy itself, the opt-out policy. We're going to have to make some changes in it. And that, again, I'm going to come back to the low income exemption. If you go to $28, that's a lot of revenue that somebody else is going to pick up if we continue to exempt low income from having to pay this fee. So does anyone want to weigh in on that? I don't know how many low income customers take advantage of the opt-out. I don't know.
So I guess,
It's a very good question.
Yeah, so
I wonder if you can come back to us subsequently with that information.
And I did speak with the low income coordinator regarding this morning. And both of us are in support of not doing that anymore for low income customers,
not doing what?
Not giving the exemption.
the exemption.
Okay, I'm trying to
The
understand.
low income people are going to pay the same thing in the opt-out that anyone else that's not low income is paying.
So right now, what's the current policy?
They don't pay they don't pay the opt-out fee at all.
If you're a low income, you're not paying the $5. If we increase it, they would pay it.
They'd pay the 20.
Man, that seems like double bad to me. Another reason not to do this.
So support it.
Well, I guess from my perspective, I think we're getting to where we kind of need to wrap up so we can get into the regular meeting.
Well,
I think,
staff's got some consent, a little bit of consensus
Well,
on certain
hold on,
items about
hold
what to
on.
look at.
let me say my piece. My piece is I think staff has made the case that you're bringing facts to us. And that's what we ask staff to do. Bring us facts, provide us recommendations. Ultimately, we have to decide. We're representing the customers managing the system. We have to make a decision about what we think is fair. I could see some increase. I am concerned about that, about, increasing it on low income people. And I'm just cognizant of how the whole decision we made saved us a hell of a lot of money. We're in a good place. I don't want to screw up the good place. And we're already going with higher base fees. I'm not comfortable with this recommendation as it is. I'm comfortable increasing it some because I think staff has made the case that there are higher costs for this class of customers. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and again, the $5 was a placeholder for us too. I don't think we ever based that on anything, and it's been 6 years. Everything's
It
gone
was
up.
Kevin's estimate.
Everything has gone up in 6 years. So, I mean, I've already said that there's likely and probably should be a rate increase. Up to us to decide what that's going to be.
Correct. Okay.
And so, and staff has a little bit of direction on things we want to know about to get to that.
And just for anybody watching, we have the second item was the NOAANet issue. I asked that we put it on here in case we got done early. There's no problem with that'll be discussed at the regular business meeting. I think we're not missing anything with that issue. So I'm going to suggest we take a, sorry?
I was gonna
You
say
gonna quip?
that to think that we'd have any time left over was wildly optimistic.
I know. I was showing my wildly optimistic side. Okay, so we're at 3:53. Unless there's anything else.
Well, you indicated that you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize that you were going to wrap up that way, Commissioner Randall. I think if there were fees that you felt were questionable in the analysis, certainly would be within the board's discretion to nix those and consider the other ones that you felt more comfortable with, and then apply an incrementalism lens to that as well. So
Right. Thank you.
One quick point, and I did the math on it. Right now, we're collecting about $30,000 a year, not taking into account who's not paying because of low income.
Right.
And we're jumping to $170,000 of revenue. That's the change. If we go completely to the 28.
Exactly. I did
So
the
it's,
same math.
that's the math.
Yep. Okay, it is 3:54. I'm going to adjourn this special board meeting workshop and we'll come back at 4:00. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Sergey.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Sergey.
Thank you.
Appreciate your